my
thank
friend.
you, everyone. That's really great background music to accompany this presentation. I love it. It makes it a little different. So feel free to jump in and ask any questions that you may have pressing for the lending world. But as it pertains to everyone's minds, they see social media and the news talking about lower interest rates, which is what we have seen is market improving. So we're looking at the 30-year fixed nationwide hovering around the low sixes to the mid sixes, and that's been the lowest that we've seen in the past 11 months on average. So that's some good news for home buyers, and possibly even for sellers, because this really is a window of opportunity for buyers and for sellers. Seeing that in many markets there are more homes becoming available, and with interest rates coming down, that just helps buyers have one more options and two better affordability. I say better affordability because it makes a huge difference every quarter% in an interest rate for a buyer's affordability. So if you had somebody who was sitting on the fence, pre-approved in 7%, 6.75, 6.5 even, you may want to have them revisit their pre-approval and see where they're at now with interest rates around that, like I said, that low 6% to 6.5%. This opportunity really is, as we have seen in the past, can be very short-lived. As soon as the market turns and interest rates fall into the 5%, which is what's anticipated in 2026, you're going to see a flood of buyers re-enter the market and push the values and the offers back up. So just something to think about as you have conversations with your buyers, especially with the buyers that are sitting on the fence waiting for rates to drop even more. This is a great opportunity when they have options, because I'm seeing a lot more seller credits being negotiated, and not necessarily with the price drop either. So you can always use a seller credit and work it into a offer price higher than the list price if it makes sense, and if it's going to appraise, and help people use and take advantage of those temporary buy downs, or a combination of a permanent buy down with a temporary buy down. If you're not familiar with that, just raise your hand. I can explain that a little bit further. But also there's other ways to use a seller credit as well, if that's something that is an option in your market, by splitting the MI, the mortgage insurance, buying out the mortgage insurance to help with affordability. And I've even seen in the condo markets prepaying homeowners association dues in advance to help buyers really manage that first year of payments. So just some food for thought, some things to think about in this window of opportunity for buyers and for sellers to incent more eyes on their properties by offering a seller credit. Does anybody have any questions? I can't see the chat, so if anyone can unmute yourself if you have questions, or if you have any feedback.
Jen, is there any big report coming up this week that we should be aware of?
We do have jobless claims coming up this week, and that's going to be a huge market mover. So if we do see that jobless claims comes in worse than expected, there's revisions that are happening, and that can be market moving. So just keep a close watch on, well, not necessarily you keep a close watch, just keep a close watch in the market, but stay close to your lenders. If you have any buyers that are in contract that are floating, just make sure that your lenders are staying close to the market, because you don't want to miss an opportunity. You don't want to lock too soon, and you also don't want to miss that mark to lock.
Thank you, Jen. Any questions? Any things that you might not understand based on the explanation of Jen about buy downs and things like that? Let us know. This is your call.
Other things too, I just want to bring to your attention, in case you're not familiar, are the non-QM loans. They were also known as subprime loans in the past, but improved because there's safety nets in place. But non-QM loans are particularly popular with those like a jumbo loan or with self-employed borrowers, where you can use different types of programs to, or different ways to calculate your income. One more recently that we have seen with high net worth borrowers is asset utilization, which is different from asset depletion. So asset depletion is when your borrower is over, of retirement age, over 62 and a half, and very common in conventional financing. But asset utilization actually allows someone that has an enormous amount of, not enormous, I'm sorry, that's the wrong word, but has a good, healthy amount of asset that they can utilize as income. They don't have to deplete the assets. They don't have to use it. So this is a really great opportunity for you to reach out to your financial planner, partners, to see, who is looking to buy a home that may have a ton of assets that don't really have very much income and can use those assets as income. The other things too, if you have investors using the debt service coverage ratio, the DSCR, which is using the rental income and the mortgage payments to qualify, not using income at all. And with interest rates coming down and rents increasing, this may be an even more viable option in many markets. Other things too with bank statement loans, just using the deposits from your income, from your businesses. And there are some programs that'll allow business and personal deposits. You just can't double dip. So what I mean by that is you can't pay yourself a borrower can't pay themselves an income, use that income as income as well as deposits from their business accounts. So anyway, so bank statement loans are a great option as well. And interest rates are typically run anywhere between 0.5% to 1% higher than what the conventional rates are. And most non-QM loans, and all of the non-QMs that I know about, don't even have private mortgage insurance. So even if they're putting 10% down, 15% down, it might make more sense for these programs if it allows for those lower down payments to avoid the private mortgage insurance, even with the higher interest rate. So just something to think about. These are just options to ask your lender to see if that may be a better fit for your self-employed borrowers.
Thank you, Jen. I think she just shared with us a little social media post that could be a teaser, right? For clients. You can do a quick video, say, hey, are you have no job or you have no steady income, but you have plenty of assets and you want to buy. I got you. DM me for more information, right? And just again, you're not a lender, you don't need to do anything other than just pose the question, create, that curiosity, and then have them take action on that post. And then of course you match them with the lender of your choice and the one that you have a relationship. And if you don't have, Jen Castañeda here can help you. So any questions, any comments, or anything for Jen before I let her go is 514 for Texas, 314 for California, and 614 for the East Coast.
Got a quick questions.
Sure.
If when let me rephrase that. If I need to know when my mortgage insurance, not mortgage insurance, the PMI. So do I need to do like an appraiser first, and that way they can remove the PMI, or should I just contacting the mortgage company and ask them if I already hit the 20%?
Yeah, you contact the mortgage company because sometimes an appraisal isn't even required. Most mortgage companies will either do what's called an automated valuation or send out a drive-by just to make sure that the property, the structure is still there. But most mortgage companies do not have you do a whole new appraisal. It's a system that they go through at a processing fee that they go through to have that removed. But every lender is going to be different. But your first contact will be the mortgage company.
Okay, because I have a client that asked me that this morning, so that's what I told them because I didn't know, I didn't want to give them the correct information. I told them to contact the mortgage company. That way they can just evaluate that for them. I don't think that an appraisal needed, but I say just, yeah, I'm not a loan officer. Probably
Yeah.
it's better than to contact them. Okay, thank you.
Well, the other thing too that they may want to consider, being that interest rates are starting to come down, but maybe depending on when they got their refinance, is just to be that source of information for them that let them know that maybe a refinance may not be the option right now. They can do what's called a recast, and they don't have to touch their current rate in terms if their rate is really low and they bought with private mortgage insurance. I'm not sure the situation, but we can have a one-on-one later. But a recast is just taking their current terms and resetting the payments based on their updated balance. And they can actually save money that way by not having to pay all the refinance fees and lower their monthly payment.
Well, actually,
Oh,
that's a great, thank you. I'm sorry, Abe. That is a great thing, guys. I think that that's a great takeaway for our clients and a great way for us to call those past clients, right? Who might be in that situation regarding PMI, like Abe said, right? That their PMI might be up and they might want to call their mortgage company or do something like Jen just mentioned. I think that those, as we learn all these things, guys, these are opportunities for us to be able to reach out to our past clients, right? And if you're new to this and you don't have any past clients, be that resource for the people that that own a house, right? Be that resource, be that fountain of information so that when they do think about real estate, obviously they call you because now you have offered them some solutions or some, what do you call it? I just lost the train of thought. Some value, okay? So that's a great way to do that. So maybe, maybe next time, Jen, you can give us a little bit more of a detailed class on that for our clients, because I think that that's something that, again, we want to create value for our existing clients, but also those potential clients that might be, again, creating that value for people. And, that's how people contact us. When we give them value and we continue to give them value, then they remember us all the time.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Jen, if you don't mind, if you want to share again in the chat your information, how they can contact you. That way, again, I know Abe maybe have additional information or questions for you about his client. Maybe you can have one-on-ones with anybody that is interested as well.
yes.
Can you access the chat?
Yes, I would like her information because
Yeah.
I have a couple questions I need to ask her.
Perfect. There you go. I think,
Okay,
she
I put
started
my email.
typing. So I see your email. Do you mind sharing your direct phone line?
Yes, I'm doing it right now. There you go.
Perfect. And her name is Jennifer Castañeda, everybody.
All right,
Sorry.
thank you.
Or Jen.
I'm sick, so I'm on my
We're
personal line. I
family. She can be
apologize.
Jen. She can be Jen. Well, thank you, Jen, again for being available and always willing to share your knowledge and your education. I personally love the way you explain things. I think it's very simple and are very nice quick bits that we can put into action immediately, right? Like I said, I mean, this is information that you can, when we're done, you can go ahead and take your phone and do a little, hey, do you know, right? A little teaser and get your recording done for today. So Jen, I'm going to let you go. You're welcome to release yourself from the call, and we are going to continue talking about for sale by
And get some rest, girl. Get some rest.
Everyone, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Sorry that I was a little bit late today. I wanna see if you guys can see my screen. Is everybody seeing the screen?
Not yet, but it's coming.
And
there we go.
Are we live? There you go.
Yes.
Okay, so for today's call, I know we basically had a week of vacation, and I hope that you took that time whether to work, right? There's no right or wrong, or if you were able to just disconnect from everything, kind of regroup, energize, do the things that you wanted to do for your personal environment and for health, right? During the long weekend, but we're back into formally action with our calls. And like I mentioned today, it's all about for sale by owners. And why I want to bring this to the table, because my experience as a broker with agents is that for sale by owners could be basically something that people are afraid to even talk about, or feel a little intimidated about what does that really mean. And maybe they're curious to see if there's a lead source at that end, but they have no idea how to approach it because they think that a seller is just going to eat them alive if they knock on that door, okay? But before we jump in, I wanted to share this wonderful quote that I received exactly last Friday in one of my coaching calls as a professional, and it spoke to my heart, to my soul, to everything. And I don't know about you, but I am in the middle of so many changes in my adult life and professional life, and sometimes I feel like I'm done, I'm quitting. I'm burnt out. I don't even know how to even pick up the phone or how to approach any more business planning or cold callings or networking or any of that. But guess what? We don't get to stop. We get to allow grace, and we get to achieve and stay focused on what we want. So train yourself to last longer than everyone else, right? Entails mindset, physical health, right? Spiritual, and of course, action in the business. People rarely lose because they lack talent, okay? And I know for a fact that this business rarely had anything to do with talent and everything to do with massive action, people. Knowledge or resources, they lose because they didn't stick around long enough to find out what could have been. Breakthroughs rarely come after the first, second, or even the third try, right? So persistent. They usually come when everyone else has tapped out, right? So you're up to here and you feel like nobody or God cannot squish you any longer. Just stay there, because it's coming. All you have to do is stay in the game long enough to outlast the 99% who quit before the breakthrough comes. And just take it all in, because again, I don't know about you, but I'm being very open and intentional with this call today. And that's where I'm at right now. It's like, if God squeezes me anymore, I don't know where I'm going to explode from. But I'm here and I'm sticking up with you guys. So with that said, let's move along here, and I don't know where to click. Where do I click? Oh, there we go. Okay, so the agenda, we got the fabulous lender market update from Jen. Again, please, I hope you took some quick notes, and the intention of these lenders calls is not for you to become a lender or be completely knowledgeable about everything they have to share. This is for you to feel that you're getting the up-to-date, most current information about the lending side of the industry, so you can have something to speak about. And so you can, when you're having those conversations with your consumers and your clients, you know exactly where to guide them, right? And which resource can you actually connect them with? Remember, we're connectors and we're here to find solutions. So with all this talent that we are bringing over to you, just, make notes. You know what? Jen is good at this. The other guy is good at this. Eric is good at this. And then just be quick creating, right? That network of professionals that maybe you can utilize in different situations and just help and bring value to your clients. We're going to be talking about what is a FSBO, right? So maybe you're so new that you have no idea what those initial means. We're going to talk about how many touches, right, is typically expected, or you can expect based on the people that do this, that it will take you as a professional to convert a for sale by owner, which is what FSBO stands out for. Where can I find the FSBOs in the market, right? Like, do I just walk my neighborhood? Do I go to the newspaper? Where do I go, and where do I find this source of leads, right? So I'm going to be sharing with you today 2 ways that you can find, of course, the free way or the pay a little bit money to try to tap into that inventory. How do I win a for sale by owner seller? How do I talk to them, right? What kind of scripts can I use? If you're going to be having one-on-ones with them, or if you're going to if you just get a database and you have emails, how you can do a script via email, or perhaps if you are going to just do cold calling to them, how can you also engage them in a phone conversation? And then I do have here also a seller letter that I use that has helped me in the past with FSBO, because I have door knocked for FSBOs. And I have actually brought offers to FSBOs myself very successfully. So again, the whole purpose of the call is for you to get a new idea. If you have not even considered this before, evaluate your markets, right? Maybe your market is not a big deal, but maybe you are in a huge FSBO market, right? And these are things that you get to start evaluating and see, okay, so I am in Georgia and the zip code in Georgia where I'm at, oh my God, yes, we're big in FSBOs. This is going to help me. Or maybe you're in Florida and you've never seen one FSBO in your life. Or in California, right? You're in a specific neighborhood or a city that you have seen, right? Examples of FSBO. This could help you monitor and check that out and see, again, if you have a lead source of income here that can help you for the rest of 2025 or perhaps 2026. Okay. So what is a FSBO, right? For those of you that have never encountered this term, this is a for sale by owner, which refers to a situation where a homeowner decides to sell their property without involving us, right? This has nothing to do with a real estate agent or brokerage. This is, I am seller here and I am ready to sell my house and I don't want to pay, I don't want to involve. These real estate agents are all, you know, just car salespeople. I don't like how they work. They're just going to steal my money and I'm just going to go ahead and take the whole process on my own. And that's basically, in summary, what a FSBO is, right? So it's a do-it-yourself type of approach of real estate sales. They go ahead and market the property themselves in platforms that I'm going to be sharing with you. They are available to show the property themselves to potential buyers. They negotiate. They can, you know, they can create their own contracts. They would do anything and everything, right, to sell that property themselves without involving any of us. And of course, the main reason for this is typically because they don't want to pay, okay? How many touches, right? How do we get to speak and approach these for sale by owners that are out there? So my experience with them, they're very, very suspicious consumer, right? So if we go and approach themselves directly in their home, they're typically hard to, they like break, right? They're going to have the, I don't know if I want to talk to you. What have worked for me is that I'm like, since they are here marketing their properties for free, I try to create free things that I can bring to the table so they can start speaking to me, right? Because again, I'm not going to be here knocking on that door for the first time with a listing agreement. Hey, I'm the best agent. You're losing your money, you're wasting your time. None of that stuff works for them. I am there like, hey, right? I'm in your neighborhood. I sell out of your neighborhood. And perhaps I either come with a, hey, I have a possible client with you for you, or maybe, you know what, have you checked your market? What data do you have? What make you come to the price? I can actually help you evaluate. I've noticed that perhaps you have been on the market for, I don't know, 30 days or 60 days or anything like that. And I just share data with them in those conversations. I don't call them. The way I've done them has always been knocking on those doors as part of a door knocking campaign. Okay. So that has been my own little take on the FSBOs. So the average number of touches needed is around 5 to 8 meaningful contacts. These can widely depend on the market, the seller's motivation, right? Relationships that you might have, and how approachable you are, right? How non-invasive those conversations can be with them. Some things that I've discovered when I approach for sale by owners is that sometimes they're doing this because they're in a very, very hard financial situation as well. So sometimes FSBOs could be either short sale clients or could be REO possible in the making clients. And the reason why they're selling is because they're desperate and they're ashamed. That's one of the reasons why they don't contact us. And they're trying to save as much money as possible, thinking that they're going to be able to effectively do this on their own. So just keep that also in the back of your head as well. This could be one of the reasons why a for sale by owner has the property on the market. And then why the range of 5 to 8 meaningful touches, right? So they don't like pitches, like I mentioned. When somebody that has no financial problem or issues is listed their own house, it's because they don't trust. They have trust issues and they have, I don't want to pay anybody issue, right? And they see us like a sales car person, right? This guy's gonna just pitch me and they just wanna take my 6%, doing nothing, I can do it all. And then, the complex of real estate agents kick in and they think they can do a better job and a better service for their home. And they would, and your, like I said, your approach to those should be polite, should be, I'm here to help, and I just have data, right? I just have data, and you're not approaching them necessarily to list their home. You are approaching to try to create a lead for a possible client, and having that possible offer that they need on the table for them sooner than later. So again, I wouldn't really start necessarily talking about, hey, I want to list your house and I'm the girl. I'm just basically, hey, how open are you if I, for free, take your listing and perhaps share it with all my networks of investors and my buyers pools and all of that, and just kind of like become an extra marketed tool for that seller. That has worked for me in the past. By touches 3 or 5, you're providing ongoing value like market updates, or buyer feedback, right? By touches 6 and 8, you might be involving case studies, also several agents, basically selling that neighborhood, showing them, by selling by brokerage, you can make this X amount of percentages versus what has been recorded by sale by owner, sales track, right? Data builds the case as well. And then it's just all about quality and not the quantity, right? So you want to be persistent with them, especially if you think that the reason why you're looking into this database of prospect income for you is because you might have buyers interested in that neighborhood and there's no other way for a buyer to acquire. Maybe the competition at the market is so strong that maybe a FSBO is the way for you to boop, boop, hey seller, I have an offer and this is my offer for you from a buyer, right? Questions on this? You are welcome to unmute. You are welcome to share your experiences. Okay. So where can I find free FSBOs online, right? Where can I do a little bit of database, regardless of whether you're in California, you're in Texas, you're in Florida, Puerto Rico, wherever you are in Georgia. So of course, the #1 source is always Zillow, right? Zillow is the most visited real estate site in the US, with over 233 million users. You can find FSBOs in the dedicated other listing or for sale by owner tabs that they have. They show photos, descriptions, and contact information. And of course, that's a way for you to either cold call if you're going to be cold calling. I haven't really seen that much emails, but I have seen phone numbers. And then of course you get the full address. And if you're bold, then you go ahead and door knock those properties. And when it comes to marketing, they're there in Zillow, but they don't get the track, of course, as a regular listing for Zillow. When it comes to the marketing and the algorithms and everything that happens on the back end. There's a site actually called forsalebyowner.com. And this site has been up and running since 1997, and it's a nationwide also website that you can use. It's free, and it's just that, for sale by owner. So it's a very easy, niche focused little website that you can use, and you can start trial and error and see if this is something that may work for you and your market as part of a lead source generation, okay? Then there is also the FSBO.com or the FSBO.com. And I think it's just the same. No, this is for salebyowner.com, and this is actually just the acronym. So FSBO.com is the other website. It's also established in 1997. I wonder if it's the same company. And then again, just dedicated and solely focused on for sale by owners. Craigslist, right? Who hasn't searched anything in Craigslist? Craigslist has for sale by owners listings. Back in the day in the REO market, I used to use a lot of Craigslist to market my REOs very successfully there. And I also sometimes, depends on the asset, I will go ahead and market HUD homes over there as well, which generates a lot of track for buyers as well. And then Facebook Marketplace, right? I have seen, I don't know if you dab into the marketplace in your areas for Facebook, but I have seen properties listed, I have seen investments, off the market, things like that. And of course, free FSBO is not an exception for that type of usage of the Facebook market. Any questions on the free websites?
No, and I'm gonna, if that's okay with you, I'm gonna share my screen to share Zillow,
Yeah.
how easy it is to find. So that way they can get a little bit motivated. So bear with me 1 second. So if you go to Zillow, there's gonna be the little tab here that says buy. And then right here, it's gonna say for sale by owner. That's how simple it is, right? And you're gonna go in here for sale by owner and you're gonna put in your zip code, you know, whatever location, whatever market you're in, obviously for sale, and then do a search. And then it's gonna give you, so like right now, let me just use a zip code in Miami here. Okay. So now it's going to show me here pretty much every single listing right now that is a for sale by owner, right? So when you go to the property, I'm just going to use this one as an example. It's going to have the seller's information, including their phone number, right?
Yeah.
Even though it says contact agent here, because you know, even though it is a for sale by owner, Zillow's going to take advantage of that and send it to some agent. But it says listed by property owner, and it has the phone number for the property owner right here. So it can't get any easier than that, right?
Yeah, so
Obviously-
emails, to be honest with you, I've never seen, or barely ever seen any emails on Zillow or any of the other sources, but the phone number is there. And
Correct.
it is for you to go back to basics and call.
Correct, correct. And again, you know, you have that letter, right? Yay, Malis, that you were talking
Yeah.
about. So you can also, obviously, you have the address. You can go ahead and send that letter to them and, you know, hopefully that they can, you know, you can create some value for them. Door knock, like Yemali said, offer some value. I've seen agents who offer to do an open house, right? I'll provide everything. You don't have to bring anything, Mr. Seller. I'll do an open house for you if that's okay. The only thing that I ask is that if I do find a buyer that's able, willing, or willing to buy your property, that at that point we'll talk about negotiating some sort of compensation for me bringing the buyer. Okay, that's something of that nature. But you know, it is a market, and as you can see, even just in this zip code, how many don't we have here, right? Like
Yeah.
there's quite a
And
few just in that one zip code.
yep. And remember, when it comes to open houses and for sale by owner, you have to be a little bit careful with that because you are not an agency, right? And technically you are not representing the seller.
Right.
E&O insurance is not going to technically protect you in there if something happens. So you do have to maybe create an agreement for that specific activity. And that way, and of course, always run it by your broker. And that way, you know, you create some sort of a way to protect your agency when you are at, you know, when you are perhaps intaking that activity for a person that is not your client. So remember that when it comes to open houses and FSBOs. Okay, I'm going to share again my screen. Any examples that you guys have encountered, or if you have done this in the past, you are welcome to mute. I really want engagement, and I want to see if you have a good experience, a bad experience, if somebody shut the door and you like completely lost it and lose all your confidence, where you are with all of that.
Can I clarify one thing? I'm making sure that's what I heard. Did you say that you can market a FSBO without you have the listening, like without like you don't have the listing?
No, that will be part of your conversation of that interaction with that seller, right? So when you're trying to build a relationship with that seller, of course, again, it's all about data. So the easiest way you go in is with a simple market, right? Summary, right? Hey, seller, I am such and such, and you are, you know, knocking on the door and you're providing some information, and maybe of course, before you knock on that door, you have done some research. So you know if that property has been there for 30 days, 60 days. You have run some comps, so you know where you are, and you're going to have, because again, your intention, what is the main goal is to get that listing, or if you cannot get that listing, is to put a buyer there and have them compensate for that, right? So those are the two goals of a for sale by owner. There's nothing more. You're not wasting your time. You want to get something out of that interaction. But the way you interact with that person is that you have to be softer and more like, hey, I'm here to just facilitate something for you. Maybe share the fact that you might have a specific buyer, because I have done that. I have not, because I have a specific buyer. In the letter that I'm going to present at the end, I've carried that letter with me. I've called the name of my buyer, right? So I deliver, I interact and all that. And then when they start being receptive about that conversation, then boom, the other next, knock on the door is the offer. And it works. And my offer comes and you pay me this and that. And then again, I just basically take over the whole transaction to a point, because I want my buyer to have disclosures. I want my buyer to know more about the property. So I follow the escrow as I know how to follow the escrow. But since I don't have the agency from the seller, I am no coaching or instructing the seller. I am just completing the side of my end just so my buyer is protected, if that make any sense. Okay. So, but again, they're there to, it's not an easy crowd to break in. And the reason of all that is the idea of who we are as a professional, what we bring to the table. They feel like we don't really, just because we have a license doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's so easy to sell a house. What do I need to involve? I can create a contract. They just have all these ideas about exactly what a real estate transaction is. And then of course it's this, the main reason is they just don't want to get rid of their money. Georgia.
Yes, just an idea that also works. It is important that if you don't have any buyer and you would like to approach a for sale by owner, just be genuine, just tell them, hey, I would like to preview your house. I may not have the perfect buyer right now, but I would like to, with your permission, maybe share like you said. But if you don't have any buyer, please don't make the mistake to say, hey, I have a buyer. I may have a buyer for you. So be careful with the way you approach a for sale by owner, because they are savvy. And sometimes, that creates some rapport with them, rather than just that they will be against talking to you just because, they know the language, is what I'm trying to say. So that's important. And before you start looking for sale by owners, take some time and create kind of a plan. What I'm going to do with the first call or the first touch. This is what I'm going to say. The second one is going to be this, the third one. So you have kind of a process, a system already that will help you connect with them. And you have, some like Jay Malis was sharing, maybe a CMA, offering them a CMA, maybe offering them to preview the house, maybe that you don't have any buyer, but maybe one of your colleagues have. Maybe you can open the door and join efforts with another colleague that that said, I'm looking for this type of home, and you found a for sale by owner. Why not? You can join efforts also that way and make it happen. So just wanted to put that up there.
Correct. The other thing that, piggybacking to what Carmen was saying, the other thing that helps is, how we have for our listings, prepare your home for sale type of checklist, right? Sometimes something as simple as that is just hey, I just want to, make sure that you're aware of these tips. Maybe, maybe the reason why your house is not moving, have you considered any of these things? And you kind of like talk shop and ideas of, what might not be, what is the property condition that you can see? And then maybe you approach it, hey, the reason I'm saying is because, for example, right? And you can say, hey, you know what? The front of your house, there's so many, dry rot and things like that. And that's going to affect certain lending, or certain buyers might not be knocking on your door because of property condition. Are you aware of that? And when you become an educator without an agenda, right? You do have an agenda, but you are honest and approachable as much as you can in order for your agenda to transpire, right? But they really see you as, oh my, I haven't thought about this. And then the conversation just starts, right? Because you're not saying, I want to be your agent, or I want to represent. None of that has ever taken place yet, because the only thing that you're doing is just teaching them, educating them, perhaps trying to become an extra leg of marketing for them. And then see how during that process, maybe you can win them over and win the business. That's the main goal, okay? Any other questions or any suggestions or any experience that you have had before I continue that you would like to share that can be of value for everybody here?
I have a question. Sometimes the sellers, I mean, especially those who are selling their properties by themselves, I have seen somebody like they were negotiating a deal. They said, okay, what do you need? They said, I need like 250 on this property. They said, okay, if I get you 250, what about the rest of the money? Can I make my compensation through that? There is some sort of agreement that is about it, like for something like that. I don't remember exactly.
I don't think I follow you, Asim. So you're saying that they have a specific listing price set or sales price that they're trying to aim,
Yeah, I have seen
but they're
somebody in Miami.
okay.
I was doing a deal in Olympus, and there was an agent that I was talking to him. He was a very senior expert person. So the condo price was like 250 asking price.
Okay.
I know 225, and we offered him like 250. So when I was looking at the final settlement sheet, I saw that out of 225, out of 250, he was taking
In
25K in his own pocket.
oh, I
I
see.
asked this agent, I said, how come you are taking this much money? He said, this is an agreement with the seller that if I get him like 225, the rest of the money will come to me.
That's called a net listing.
A net
Mhm.
listing, exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's doable if all the parties are okay. You know,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. But again, transparency, and make sure that you run those deals with your broker, that you have the right language on those. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions or experiences with for sale by owners? Any scary experiences that you might have with for sale by owner? We're here to learn. Teresa, you have your hands
Yeah,
raised.
I had my hand up. I almost forgot already what I wanted to say. So sorry about that.
Okay.
The
Okay,
end
well
of the
then come
day.
back later. No worries.
We'll come back later to it.
Yeah, let me keep sharing here. Okay. Okay. You see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So now we're moving along to the sources online that you can actually find for sale by owners with a minimal cost, right? So the service, oh my God, did I forgot to put the name of I think I forgot to put the name of the first source. I'm gonna correct this so you guys can have it. But the second web address is Red Eggs. And this is not as cheap. It's actually $49. For some people, it's cheap. For some people, $49 is a lot per month. And you get FSBO leads in this website. Also, you can pull public records, ads, and information. You get selected by zip code, city, states, include phone numbers, addresses, and it's actually do a little bit of scrub about the do not call compliance. Okay. So it looks like you can do a CRM integration as well. So that's one of the websites. I will put the name of the first one, which I forgot. Then we have listsource.com, which is part of CoreLogic. This is another monthly fee, and it gives you packages, right? So you can create kind of like bundles based on the cities or the zip codes that you want. And remember, the majority of these services are basically a month-to-month fee service, and it's emphasized more in quality over quantity. My recommendation to you, of course, is if this is something new for your business, you are going to do a trial and error. I would not encourage you to spend the money yet. Just see what you can create with free online. Practice, like Carmen mentioned, create the process, have that business plan for FSBOs, and then execute and see what are the results. Once you start closing them, right, just like with farming, you want to create a budget then that is exclusively for FSBOs, and then that marketing budget should be able to pay for those leads for you for the future. Any questions on that? Okay, so I have 3 scripts here that I'm going to share for you based on whether you are going to be doing calls or whether you're going to be door knocking or whether you are actually doing emailing. So very generic, easy script. Hi, seller, Juan. This is Jay Mali's. I am with La Rosa Realty. I noticed your home is for sale by owner, and I just wanted to reach out to introduce myself and congratulate you on taking on the sale. That's very brave, right? I specialize in helping homeowners in the area of, Hayward, California. I sell their properties quickly and for top dollar. I love to offer you a free marketing analysis to show you how your home compares with others, or share some tips to help you attract more buyers. I don't know if you catch my phrase at the end when I congratulate them and said how brave of you, right? And the reason why I use that, especially me directly, is because I want to make them aware that this is not an easy task, right? And that you are basically commanding them for owning that power of taking the sale of their own home, but at the same time putting in their mind, why is she saying I'm brave, right? What does this mean? Do I need to know more about the process, right? So it's kind of like a word that complements and at the same time leave a little bit of a question mark in their heads. Of course, these scripts that I'm sharing, please change them in your own words, make them your own. You want to come across authentic and with you, right? You don't want to sound scripted, especially for sale by owner. If you sound like you're a robot, you're done. They're not going to work with you because you're just confirming the reason why they did not go with a real estate agent on the first time. Okay. The in-person door knocking script. Hi, seller John. My name is Teresa. I'm a local real estate agent with La Rosa Realty Miami. I saw your for sale sign and I wanted to stop by to introduce myself. In this moment, you could have some sort of a material, but don't go to door knock. I don't recommend empty-handed, right? Just go with something that you can leave them behind that has your contact information and has some sort of a data that they could process and perhaps continue and ask them, can I follow up with you after you digest all this? And when can it be a good time? If let's say that you don't knock on a Friday, can I call you on Sunday and we can chit chat in case you have any questions about this material? And just kind of like want to create a follow-up conversation with that person. Teresa, you have your hand on.
Yes, I remembered now. So back to all this, guys. Okay, back to all this and making those connections. Remember that even if you don't, let's say they sell the property and they never use you to list their property and you've done all this work, but you haven't really you didn't get anything out of it because they didn't list the property. They might have sold the property, but keep in mind, 90% of the time, they're probably going to have some hiccups during that transaction because again, they're not the professionals. They don't know what they're doing, so they might have a couple hiccups, but they're going to remember who you are, right? Because through their transaction, you were there, you were offering them assistance, you were giving them some value. And even though they might not use you because they did happen to get an offer and they were able to sell their house on their own, if someone else asks them, they're going to refer you. Hey, if you're looking for a good realtor, this realtor came by my house and she offered me a lot of value. Obviously, I sold my house. I wasn't able to use her, but hey, she was amazing. Let me give you her information. That's why Yamali says never go empty-handed, right? You want to make sure that you have something with you that has your information, your contact info, whatever it is. Because even through that conversation, and you can tell the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, if you don't decide to use me, I understand, you might find a buyer before we can have a relationship here. But if you have anyone else who might be thinking in the neighborhood of selling or buying, please keep my information so that you can, think of me when that happens, right? So you might still get a referral out of it. And that's why it's important to not go empty-handed. And again, those follow-ups, because we all know that 99% of the agents, they go and do it once and they don't follow up ever again. So
Yeah.
that's why having that system, like Carmen said, right? Having a system of follow-up is important, because if you just go knocking on the door and you present yourself, you do all this stuff, you give them a CMA, you give them all this stuff, and then you never follow up again, even after they sell their house, right? Maybe they've already put a like a under contract sign, or maybe they took the sign off the house. You can still go back and follow up and say, oh, Mr. Seller, congratulations. I noticed that you actually sold the house, or you went under contract, or maybe they actually took it off the market because they couldn't sell it.
Yeah.
Right. So the follow-up is where the gold is. And the
Yeah.
more persistent you are, the more they're going to remember who you are. So even
Yeah.
if you don't get that one listing, it doesn't mean that they won't refer you another client.
And not only that, if you're taking the time to door knock on that one home, guess what? Make it an activity to door knock on all the houses around, right? And create something. So you're not just gonna go, oh, I'm gonna drive here, done. If you're taking the time to do that, then door knock on the street, on the neighborhood, on 20 houses, 30 houses, whatever it is that is the configuration of where you are going to for that for sale by owner, and bring something also of value. And you did an activity not only for that particular FSBO, but for who knows what you can originate there, right? So be
And not
intentional
only
with your
that,
activities.
ask the question, where are they moving to?
Yep.
Where are they moving to when they sell their house? What's their plan? Because they might be selling their house because they want to move up to Jacksonville or wherever, somewhere else, California. Oh my God, well, well, I actually have a bunch of friends there, colleagues that are amazing. So, if you need their information, I'll be more than happy to give you their information. So when you sell your house, you already have a contact there, or maybe you can contact them. It's a referral, so there is opportunity. And for sale by owners, you just have to know how to pull out those opportunities.
Yeah. And here's sharing a comment from our Sofia Paredes from California saying motivation, location, and timeline. So consider those 3 words when you are working on your leads for sale by owner. That's very good.
Yep.
Okay, so the last script, if you're doing an email script, right? If you are able to gather those email addresses, which honest to God, in the freebies, I don't think I've ever got lucky with that. So the subject right of the script is helping your sell home in the area of, Houston, Texas. Dear seller, I hope this message will find you well. My name is, Norma, and I'm a real estate agent with La Rosa Realty, Texas. I notice your home is listed by sale by owners. Congratulations on this step. Or you can add whichever language you want to that. Selling a home can be complex, and I'd love to support you with a free resource like detailed marketing analysis or proven strategies to attract buyers. I'm happy to share insights with no obligation just to help you achieve the best outcome. Can we schedule a call, right? The call of action meeting to discuss your goals, etc. You sign and you provide your brokerage. Okay.
And then the other thing, obviously, with that too, is, use your resources. Let's say right now you have a landing page in Lofty. If you're using Lofty, there's a landing page there that has a for sale, how to sell your house, right? Like a whole selling newsletter, or whatever you want to call it, pamphlet, okay? A digital one, right? That they can download. So in that email, you can even put that link to that landing page that takes them to that PDF that they can download, and they have to put their information in there, which means now you can follow up, because if you get a notification, hey, this person, Mr. Smith, downloaded your seller PDF or whatever, now it's another way of you contacting them, another excuse. Hey, Mr. Seller, I noticed that you downloaded the for sale, the seller presentation or seller tips, whatever it is. Do you have any questions? Is there any way I can help you? Did you go over it? It's another opportunity for a conversation and a follow-up. And again, you're going to know whether they actually downloaded it, they actually read your email, and they actually took advantage of that resource. And again, it's another follow-up for you. So, it's all having that system in place, right? Not just, door knocking and taking something, but having a system of follow-up in place that's going to create that domino effect for you to be able to continue to follow up with not just cold calling. It's no longer a cold call when they actually downloaded something that you provided, because now you can go, hey, I noticed that you downloaded it. Do you have any questions? You know, it's not a cold call. Now it's a warm follow-up.
Very good, Teresa. That is so true. Okay, so on the last page of the presentation, I shared the letter that you guys can all use. The language is there. And like I said, that letter I've used not only for FSBO, but basically for when I'm being in desperate measures about inventory more than anything. And I discussed that letter before with my buyer, right? Because this is a buyer basically telling the seller, hey, seller, I am literally looking into this specific neighborhood or suburb or condominium complex or whatever the details are. And why I door knock for my buyers, because I have that full authorization that if we do engage somebody, we're acting. Right? This is not for me to just sit on the fences. This is for me to act. And the language is there for you to do that. I, of course, don't share any information about my buyer there. I'm all the contact information, but I do share the full name because if something comes up, if I get that call and there's an opportunity for me to write an offer, they're going to see the name, right? Letter and offer is the same. So this is not a generic letter for you to make noise. This is an intentional letter for a buyer that is with me on a strategic game that I'm going to, this is my condo. I'm not moving here. I wanted to live here all my life. The commute is perfect. I'm next to the public transportation or to the college, or maybe this is the elder community that I want to retire in and I want to find a condo here. Whatever that is, right? That is so specific to the buyer that they are not willing to settle for any other property and they just want that. So you're going to have that in the presentation recorded in our group. Any questions or any concerns that maybe you might have, or any stories that maybe you have in your head why you've never really considered this type of leads, or maybe you think you feel afraid or intimidated by it, go ahead and please unmute.
And I'm gonna put Damasis, if you're available to unmute. Damasis has done a lot of door knocking, okay? And so, and you've had success, Damasis, with door knocking. Can you share a little bit about your success stories with door knocking? If you're available to unmute, I know I just put you on the spot, sorry about that.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. In the past, I have been able to prepare before. What I do, I check the area, the return of the year, because some area could have more opportunities than other, and have a plan like the other lady said. And then I got prepared with a letter with information about the company, with something to give to the person. Sometimes little things make a lot. I have been going alone or with other agent from the office, and I have done some great result. You know that I'm right now of the everything. Maybe back at the end of November. Just have this time. Okay, leave it.
Teresa, you're on mute. Teresa, we can't hear you. You're mute.
Sorry, guys. I said Damasis, November is a much better month. It's a little cooler because if you're trying to do door knocking in July, August, September, it's a killer. So yeah, don't worry, Damasis in November, girl.
No,
Let's go walking.
it's for personal situation that I send you a text for. We
Okay,
are gonna be better for that time.
absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
sending you blessings, Damasis.
Thank
Whatever
you.
you're going through,
Yes.
we're
Thank you.
here to support you.
I do have a question looking for advice. So, this comes great timing because I just, just running errands. I saw a couple of signs and I was like, I made a note like, okay, I'm gonna come to, and I had a screenshot of the address so I can come back. Okay. So now I don't know how long they have had that for sale by owner sign. My question and advice that I'm asking is, okay, let's say that this homeowner has already had 10 realtors come to them like saying, or maybe they already had it. I mean, I haven't checked because that was just today, right? So if it has been listed before, if it hasn't, but it's they still have. Oh, I've talked to 7 realtors and none of them, are doing the job, or I don't know. Like, how do I tell them? Okay, but have you given them a chance, or what are those like conversation starters to get them to, hey, I'm the 11th and maybe I will have a better chance than them or something.
So Natasha, I have a question for you. Why did
Yeah.
you notice that house?
What do you mean?
What made you look to that house? Were
Oh,
you just
obviously.
browsing in neighborhoods, or you
No,
just saw the
then
sign,
again,
or the actually something in the house that make you look 2 times or longer or 30 seconds more to that house?
not even that. It was just me obviously driving somewhere else, with another purpose, because I wasn't in a like real estate mindset, but then I was like, for sale by owner. I was like, oh, okay,
So
let's.
that's gonna be your line. That
Yeah.
exactly what you just shared is gonna be your line. You're
Mhm.
gonna say, hey, Jamal is I'm reaching out to you. I'm actually stumble into your property, running some errands. I had not even had my real estate hat on, and I noticed your property, and I noticed that it's for sale by owner. And the reason why I noticed your property, maybe you can pay a compliment about what you saw outside, right?
Okay.
And you
Yeah.
just start the script from that point.
Okay.
By now you have to check it on Zillow, right? And the Zillow portal
Right.
is
Right.
you can find it. If you do find it, and let's say the property has been for sale by owner 60 days, 90, 30, whatever the length, then you are going to maybe say, and the reason I would like to learn more about your property, right? And why I would like to know more property is because I don't have a buyer now, but I often come across of buyers in this area. And if again, this whatever part of your house, the porch is gorgeous. I don't know, you can try
Yeah.
to bring some sort of a link of you, something personal with their home, and then you might want to ask, you know what, I would like to, and then ask questions, right? Are you relocating? What's the reason for your sale? Are you staying in the area? And try to dig more into why and see where that lead you. And then say, hey, and if they say, you know what, Natasha, you are like the 20th agent we have talking to, right? So you can say, well, I understand, this is what we do. We pay attention, right, to everything that is happening on the market. May I ask you, seller, when was the last time that you actually got your house evaluated? Meaning, have you know what's happened recently with sold properties, with what's active, with what's not? What is the typically days on the market in your area? So you can prepare yourself better to see if you need to wait longer for that buyer that might be coming soon, or maybe you can consider some strategies different that maybe I can share with you that help. When is a good day? Like, can we have a phone call, or can we have an actual meeting so I can maybe walk the property and sit down and we can talk more, and maybe I could become an extension of your marketing. How do you feel about that, seller? And then shut and see what they say.
Okay.
I would bring definitely the fact that you noticed the house. So I don't know if you have a clear memory of why, but bring it. Oh, you know what? I was walking and I think that picket fence porch is just the cutest. It reminds me of my grandma, blah, blah, whatever it is that, that came to your head, and see if you can engage them that way. Georgia, I think you have a suggestion here.
Yes, I also think that it's important for them to ask what kind of activity the seller have had.
There you go.
Maybe they haven't had anything. And you can say, I'm wondering why, because it's so good. I mean, it's in a good location. What about the price? Ask them, like you are interviewing them. And that's important, because if they don't have any activity, maybe they need you, and that's when you can jump in with a couple of suggestions.
Awesome. Thank you. Prepare suggestions. Like, I'm taking all the notes and everything so I can, because that's what's just today. It's the start of the week. So I have time to maybe do a little like comparables to see, hey, what's being on sale here? Like, what are the not the lot prices. I mean, the lot sizes, because I usually drive there, and it's all Katy, and they have really big lots, which people like. They don't like the old homes, right? Because they need updating. But then again, the good thing is they have big lots, and that makes a really difference. Now, when new construction, it's so, one home like right next to the next, right on top of each other. So, some people really look for that space instead of, a new home. So
There you go. And you need to share that. You need to have those nuggets for
yeah,
the seller. Right? Remember, you want to engage them in conversation, right?
yeah.
And you don't want to be the one, like what I usually say, vomiting all the data with nothing coming back, right? So you want to see, question and answer, right? Trying to get them so answer, and go casual. Don't go too formal to the door.
Right.
Because the reason how, how you notice, you were, like
Yeah.
you mentioned, you were not really being a realtor.
Right.
You were just, oh my God, a normal human that noticed that.
Mhm.
And just maybe, change the demeanor, how you
Yeah.
approach them, and then just question and, and all that. And if they, I need to know where you're going, right? Because if they invite you in, I need to know your address so we can all
Right.
be safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with that said, just don't be afraid to have a notebook in your material, right?
Mhm.
Because you're there to make notes, and you're gonna ask, like, I'm taking notes because I really think that your property could sell really well. Like, keep
Mhm.
really complimenting that property and the reason why you
Mhm.
stop and why you're not door knocking.
Mhm.
And then just go from there. I want to point out to everybody that Sophia shared 2 other scripts there in the chat. Sophia, you have your hands raised. You're welcome to unmute.
Yeah, so just circling back to what Natasha was saying, I think when you're calling or when you're getting in front of these FSBO um properties, and they're kind of already, you kind of just already have to agree that they're in a mindset where they want to do it themselves. It's sometimes a matter of commission. So sometimes when you go into these conversations with these sellers, you definitely want to like ask more questions that'll give you more information. So like the first question I would ask is it if it's an investment property or if they're living there, right? Because then it'll kind of give you more information. The longer that you have them on the phone or in a conversation, the more information they're willing to give you, right? And I know that you get this objection, which is, hey, like Natasha, like you're like, you guys, are going at it today. Like I've had so many phone calls today, and like, you know what, like I'm too busy, and sometimes what works for me with these conversations and these objections is you kind of get anything that they tell you and you kind of throw it right back at them, right? So, hey, Gemalis, like, I understand you're really busy. I know I'm busy myself as well, which is more of a reason why we should, have a conversation regarding your property and kind of get a game plan in front of you. And if it makes sense, we should meet at the property and I can give you a really great game plan and we can decide whether this is something that, this is something that you would want to work with. And this is something that I can work with as well. So you don't really want to give them everything over the phone, like Imali said. But again, like, hey, like this, I've gotten 10 calls. You're my 10th real estate agent. You guys all sound the same. You guys are all offering me the same thing. Listen, like I don't want to list. I want to do it myself. I'm like, hey, yeah, Marlies, I completely understand. I'll be the 11th and last real estate agent to give you a phone call. And, let me take over the phone calls and, make your property stand out amongst the others and get you top dollar for your property. Right. So kind of want to say like, hey, yeah, I'm the 10th, but I'm gonna be the last one, right? Because you're confident that you can sell this property, right? You have something that they want and that they secretly don't know that they need, right? So just kind of like going over the objections, you don't want to like kind of, I know it's scary, but sometimes when they kind of throw it at you, you want to take everything that they said and kind of give it back to them in a way that you're gonna give them an open-ended question and kind of give them an option of a yes or a yes, right? So, hey, I know you're busy, and I know that you want to sell your property for top dollar. Is that correct? And then they have to agree and say yes, right? So they're like, yeah, Sophia, I do want to sell my property for top dollar. Do you have a buyer? Right? A lot of people will be like, hey, do you have a buyer? Do you have a buyer? Hey, listen, MLS, I'm a real estate agent in the area, and I know that your property is beautiful and it's in a sought out community. So I definitely don't want to just bring you one buyer, but I want to bring you multiple buyers, right? So I can give you the most amount of money for your property. Another thing that I would ask would be, so at this point, is it more important for you to kind of just do it yourself and say that, you try to sell it? Or are you looking to make sure that you make the most amount of money in your property? Because it's different for everybody. So it kind of gives them the option to kind of explain to you, why is it that they're a for sale by owner? You can ask them, hey, like, do you have enough equity in your home and able to pay for commissions? And, or, is commission even like something that you've thought about, or is it money or commission the reason why you don't want to work together, right?
You can simplify. I mean, it's from the get-go. I always ask them. It's like, may I ask you why did you decided to actually take this big job on your own and just sip it? And they're gonna say it. They're gonna share it with you. If it's money, they're gonna say, they're gonna take out the real estate complex out, whatever it is that they're motivated. And that's where also I have found out that sometimes it's because they're in a very bad financial situation, which is not often, to be honest with you. I haven't really seen that many FSBO that are financially stressed, but it happens when you ask that question.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say, if you guys have tried for sale by owners, I do for sale by owners on Mojo, so I pay for it monthly. I do expires and for sale by owners and pre foreclosures right now, so it's pretty good. The script is a little bit harder, but you definitely want to be asking the right questions with the right tonality, right? So whenever you're contacting any of these sellers, just make sure you guys stay curious. Make sure you guys are talking to like human to human kind of experience. I know there's like a lot of scripts out there, and I did just drop some on the chat. You guys are more than welcome to like take a screenshot or like copy and paste on your notes or something. So when you guys are, making those phone calls or going up to these properties, you guys are asking the right questions. So you guys get enough information to be able to kind of like list, make an appointment, because essentially you want to get the listing, right? So, giving them notion like, hey, I'm around in your neighborhood, give me like 10-15 minutes. I can put a really great game plan in front of you. If it doesn't make sense, I'll walk myself out, and you can just create a friend in the business.
Okay, thank you, Sophia. That has been really, really great. It's 7:18 for some of you, 6:18 for some of us, and 4:18 for California. I see Teresa with the hand up, and I see Georgia again. Georgia, do you have anything else to add?
I think.
No.
You forgot to.
Yes.
Okay, Teresa, do you have anything to close us out?
Yes, we're gonna close out with do your homework. Okay, do your homework. Driving by one is, kind of on the fly. But if you're doing the research for the for sale by owners, do your homework, get information, as much information as you can before you show up, because again, you want to be the person who knows. A lot of the agents will just, make cold calls without doing any homework. They're not, they're just going through the script, right? But if you are very well spoken and also have everything in front of you, Mr. Seller, I've noticed that your property has been on the market 120 days. How many showings have you had in the last 120 days? Keep repeating that 120 days, right? Because you want to make sure that they understand. A lot of times they don't even have it listed on Zillow. They don't have it listed on realtor.com. They just put a for sale sign in front of it. So do your homework before you present yourself, because the more you know, the more they're going to know that you're the right person for them, because you took time to do the homework. You're not just another agent doing a cold call trying to get the listing. So do some homework, and the scripts are great, but again, I always go back to be you, who you are, come across as the person that you are, Yes. Are we going to use some scripting? Absolutely, to kind of until we start feeling comfortable. But just be you, right? And do your homework, because if you're prepared, guess what? You're going to be very confident making that phone call because you're prepared, right? You're going to be very confident knocking on that door because you're prepared. If I just go knock on doors, okay, Sunday, let me go do some door knocking, but I'm not prepared, you know, that I'm gonna be like, oh my God, the situation's gonna hit me and I'm not gonna know what to do. Plus, I'm not gonna feel confident going out and knocking on those doors. So the more prepared you are, the more homework you do, and the more information you have, that's the information that now you're gonna battle with, you know, with this potential client, right? With the potential seller. You're gonna have ammunition. Yes, I've noticed it's been on there for 120 days. You know, according to my records, you know, it looks like you still might owe, you know, 200,000 on this house, you know, whatever. Do your homework and be prepared, because the one that knows the most, they're gonna sense that, and they're gonna sense your confidence that you are a professional. You're coming to them as a professional, and you're gonna, again, they're going to remember you. Okay, they're going to remember you, especially if they didn't list it on Zillow or realtor.com or anything of that nature. You know that the only people seeing that property is someone who drives that neighborhood.
Yep.
You know, so if it's been sitting for 120 days, you already know, and it's not listed on Zillow, realtor.com, and maybe only on Marketplace or Craigslist, you already know, right? Because now you can go back, oh, I noticed that, you know, you have it listed on Zillow, you have it listed on Craigslist. Great job. You know, I'm so glad that you know, thought of all these platforms to list your property. Again, you know, being prepared is going to be key with anything that you do. Okay, so do your homework first.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Teresa, for that closing out. Again, we are all here to help you in VIP Connections. All the questions at any given time are welcome. Doesn't matter whether we are physically leading your state or not. Just please use us for any curiosity, any business developing, or any planning that you want to do. I'm going to share this with Teresa so she can post it in our group as well. And if you have any particular questions, also let me know. Remember, we are in September. Great month to keep working, and we need to there's a lot of information that is going to come up for the lending industry that is going to be affecting positive or negative your buyers and your sellers. So you might want with your preferred lenders in your local area. You want to be up to date, and you want to perhaps create conversations in social media with them so people can really see your value, because everyone in the have their eyes and ears on interest rate right now, and we get to be the same way. So if you are not up to date, if you haven't read, if you have no idea what's going on, please do your homework and get educated in not only the real estate, the trends that are happening and how you get more business, but also how to speak a little bit of lending so you don't miss out. You don't miss out on opportunities. So God bless you. We'll see you next Monday, and we're here to support you. So keep us busy. Take care.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
It takes
Yeah,
normal
but
time.
I've been up since early today, working. I think I'm just like, okay, I'm done. All right, guys. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about, are you ready if the market shifts, right? Now, I know in some states here, you might not see a lot of that, but in some states you will. So I'm kind of glad that, you know, there's a little bit from everywhere here, but I'm going to let Carmen take over. I'm just going to go ahead and do the slide thing. So let me just go here to present. And present.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome.
Well, we had a wonderful class last Monday. If you missed it, I know that the recording is available, right, Teresa? So
Yes, we did. And I have to put it on YouTube. I don't think I did that yet. So I will take care of that tonight.
awesome. Okay, so basically, do you want to do this part, Teresa?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's get motivated, of course, right? We want to make sure that we give you a little motivation to start your week. So today is entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. Woo! That was powerful when I read that, right? Because how many times, as an entrepreneur, we have to understand that what we give in now is what's going to give us results later, right? And if we do not take time to dig deep now, right, at the beginning stages of our career, we're not going to be able to live the stuff we want to live, right? That most people won't be able to live, right? So does anybody have anything to share with that? And Geraldo, I would love your take on this, because I know you've been in the business for a long time, and you've done some great things in Puerto Rico here. So share a little bit. I don't hear you, but there you go.
You got confused with somebody else. I'm Gerardo, but I don't give classes in Spanish on Thursday, that's for sure. But I will be glad to help you or follow in your presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I know Geraldo has been in the business for quite some time, and he's got this. I'm just going to give you a little promotion here. He's got a great class that's called Crece on Thursdays, and it's usually in Spanish, but he always has a great presentation, a great teaching with a lot of years of experience. So if you guys want to join, Geraldo, if you want to put your link, you use the same link all the time, right, Geraldo?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know which class you're referring to, but I can't remember the name of the guy. As a matter of fact, he already put his name is Enrique.
Okay.
Morales, okay? It's from Crece. The name of the company is Crece, CRECE.
Yes.
So,
yeah, if you can put his information in the chat, that would be great.
okay. All right. Sure.
All right, so let's move on. And these are some of the questions that Carmen wanted to address. So Carmen, take it away.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we were just, and I don't want you to get distracted just reading, the questions. We'll get there. But, we had a wonderful class last Monday in regards to for sale by owners. And as you know, the market is shifting, and we are waiting for the market to get better. And I have heard some things this past week, from some agents thinking why we are not getting more listings, right? We were talking about for sale by owners, why we are not getting more listings. And many of the agents are just waiting to see if the market will actually becomes a seller's market. And if you wait for that to happen, you lost the train, right? You lost the opportunity to start working on with the mindset of somehow that the market is going to shift, and you have to think ahead before that happens, because if not, you're going to lose a good opportunity. And in thinking about that, we just wanted to bring some questions today that will help us guide this conversation, and we would like to hear you. We would like to see what you have been doing, if you have thought about that, and what is happening in your market right now that may be, the motivation that you have to work now, or if you are, just waiting to see if something happens, in the long run that will motivate your clients to move forward, either to buy or to sell. So the first question that we were just thinking, okay, how do you adjust your strategies when the market shifts from, a seller's market, let's say, to a buyer's market, or vice versa? So if you think about, how the market is going right now, tell me a little bit about, your market area, because maybe we, like Teresa was saying, some markets are different than others, and we have been talking in the past weeks about some options, and we would like to hear how the market is going in your area. Is it a seller's market? Is still a seller's market, or is becoming more a buyer's market? Tell us a little bit about yourself, because we would like to hear that and see how you are adjusting, or what are the strategies that you are using if the market shifts, to get ready for the next phase in this market. So open your mic and tell us a little bit. We are not looking for a very statistical, type of response. Tell us what you are facing in your market, what you see, what others are talking, and what is your experience in your market. Open up. Open the mic.
Come on, guys. Come on. I mean, we are all we're in a different market. We have people here from Texas. We have people here from Georgia. We have people here from Florida, Puerto Rico. So we're all in different markets. What is going on in your market? How is it shifting is what Carmen is trying to ask, that so that we can discuss and help you, right? Because if we don't know what's happening in your market, we can't direct you in the right direction. So we want to know what's happening in your market, if you're doing anything different to adjust to this new market, or you're just standing in the sidelines right now waiting to see what happens. So anything that's going on in your particular market right now. Asim?
Well,
Yes, ma'am. Okay, somebody's coming in.
Okay, if you can raise your hand, that might be a little easier, so that way we can kind of just
I think Carol will mute herself, Teresa.
yes.
All right,
Hi,
Carol.
everybody.
Hi.
I was not doing something for my listing, but I was just reviewing the statistics on the RPR system. And I was surprised that in August, my local market, it shows as a balanced market, but almost, in the limit where it's almost a seller market. So I was really very surprised about it. So,
And Carol, where is your market specifically? Is this
Orlando in Lake Nona.
Okay.
One of the zip codes in Lake Nona. It's almost a seller market. And you were talking about that. So I just checked half an hour ago, and I was very surprised because I believe it's starting to shift.
Okay. So is that because there is low inventory at the moment?
The time on the market, they are selling in 60 days, the houses. So it's not that long comparing to other areas.
Yeah.
It's not in all the areas in Orlando, but in that specific one, it's rotating the inventory. It's not taking that long. That's what I could see on that.
Perfect.
Good.
Any other?
Lake Nona, the demand is very high in Lake Nona because I also work in Orlando. That is the hottest market right now. And most of the people who are not interested to come to Kissimmee, St. Cloud, or any other area, they like to go to Lake Nona because Lake Nona is very near to it's a central location, and it's very near to the Orlando International Airport. So that is one of the reasons that that's a top priority area for anybody who's living in Orlando. As far as the new development is concerned, what I have observed that the new development is giving amazingly low interest rates. They have gone below 4%.
Yeah.
And as far as if you are talking about the seller's market, it's still not the seller's market because I have tapped Volusia County, Seminole County, and some part of Orange County with my buyers. And what I have observed that every seller is ready to give closing cost.
Yep.
Every seller is ready to give closing cost. Even I was talking to Teresa The other day, I put a contract on two new duplexes, and what they were brand new duplexes. I mean, like 2,400 square feet and something like that. And I requested them because it was a private builder. So I thought they're not going to give closing costs, but I was able to get closing costs on those properties. So still, it's a buyer's market, and I feel like this is my personal observation that since the rumor is there or some sort of input is there that the interest rates are going to drop down. So what is happening right now that the new development, they are dropping their interest rates and they are increasing their incentives. So this is the input from Osceola County, Polk County, wherever the new development is happening, they are going below 4% so that people are concentrating on new development rather than going behind the resale houses. And the other thing, what I observed in Volusia County, that people are right now pricing their house in a right manner. They are right now in competition. I don't see a lot of overpriced properties over there.
And that's a sign that is shifting. That is
Yeah.
precisely a sign that is shifting. And basically, you just said it. There is a lot of buyers that are still, just waiting to see if how long does it take for the seller to give some concessions, some extra concessions, some extra closing costs, extra money to buy down the interest. And
No,
that's what
that
we
I'm
have.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you something. Buyers are not waiting as far as the Orlando market is concerned because the most of the if you look at the new development properties, I have a lot of friends in new developments and I
Mhm.
keep talking to them and they are telling me, I mean, the townhouses they have, the single family they have, the inventory is going away very fast. Very fast. I mean, I put a contract for myself personally back in April for something around 425. I was trying to move myself to another location and I went to the same developer that was Taylor Morrison and the same house they were giving to me right now for 475. But the interest rate was 3.99.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. We have seen some builders over here in Georgia that announced, last week that they are buying down the interest the first year for 1.99, second year for 2.99, and from the third year and over 3.99.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
we are gonna see that over and over because they don't want to keep their inventory. They would like to move it, right? And what exactly you think that needs to happen in order for us to go after potential sellers? Because if we are in a buyer's market and it's shifting, when is the right time then to adjust your strategy and go after listings? We
Right
talk
now.
about for sale by owners, right?
Oh, right
But if
now, as far as Orlando is concerned, there are a lot of listings. If some realtor is waiting to see the magic happen or trying to be lazy, it's their fault. If you have the right strategy, right, my mentor Teresa taught me, I never took a listing. I will be honest with you guys. I hate taking listing, but I'm always towards the buyer side. But this is the first time I took I think like 5 to 6 listing. Uh,
wow,
in
good.
3 4 months. So, but there are tons of listings available. A lot of everybody wants to sell their house. I don't know
It
what's.
is. It is. Although us as agents, we think that because those are sitting on the market, it's not the right time to list.
No, no, no.
And
I
that's
have
and
seen.
that's what
I
we
have.
need to face, right now as listing agents or potential listing agents to see, hey, if I don't list right now, when the market actually shift and becomes a buyer's market and the interest rate starts to go down, then you are late to get listings. It's better to act now and adjust that strategy and think think ahead. Don't think that, don't look at what is just happening now. You just have to think ahead. Okay, what will happen? What the market looks like in October, late October, early November. and try to get those listings now, because for those listing agents are going to have a blast, when the market shifts and those listings will start coming under contract,
Yes.
because buyers are going to get motivated, are going to see more the potential of, getting more money from the sellers, and, but there is no inventory. So this is a huge opportunity for us right now. And I just wanted to plant that seed in your heads right now, that you just have to think ahead. And if you are not a listing agent, if you're used to work only with buyers, this is the opportunity to become a listing agent, and get the skills, and get the training that you need, and get the process, and start, looking at that as a potential income that you're gonna get from those listings, and get leverage, because that's what the listing gives you, some leverage. You can still work with buyers when you put those listings on the market. You still have that, and you're going to get buyers or calls, because people are looking for that information. And don't underestimate the opportunity that you have to get listings. Go after those sellers that have been sitting on the market, or those expired listings, or those for sale by owners. Start making those calls, because eventually that's going to be a huge opportunity for the last quarter of the month. We are approaching to end the third quarter of the year, and we are approaching to start the first quarter, the last quarter of the year. Amazing. The year is almost ending. And this is the time that you have to think, what is your strategy? Is it working, or are you just over the fence, just trying to see what will happen and then decide what you're going to do? If you do that, it's too late. It's too
Yep.
late. So start masterminding about that. Start discussing those opportunity with your peers, and move those. Look for statistics. Start getting market data from your area, and see how it's shifting. And maybe, for example, this today we were talking about that with another agent, and they were saying, oh, many good builders are building outside of the metro area. And because it's far, they think, I don't want to get there because it's too far. You know what? If they are moving towards that area, it's because they know that they can build cheaper. And that's exactly the type of home that the people are looking for.
Right.
So why not? Just just think beyond of your strategies now. Just try to look for those pockets where houses are selling, and are selling in a different price range. That probably is what your buyers are looking for. So
Yeah.
you have to
And I'm
expand a
gonna
little bit the area.
Yeah, and I'm going to speak for Florida because, obviously I try to do as much market research on Florida. And there's a lot of, especially South Florida, right? Because I was in South Florida. Because insurance, taxes, flood insurance, right? All these things have gone up in the last couple of years. There's so much opportunity in South Florida for listings that people are moving up north, right? They're moving to Orlando, Ocala, like Jacksonville, a lot of the areas up north, because they want to still stay in Florida, but they can't afford the South. So, in South Florida, there's a lot of opportunity because there's a lot of people selling in South Florida because they cannot afford, they bought a house at a certain price. All of a sudden now the taxes jumped up, $2,000-$3,000. And then after that, they went up, the taxes, the insurance went up. Now there's a lot of more flood zones that weren't there before. So now a lot of these areas are now considered flood zones. So now the ones that didn't have to pay for flood insurance, all of a sudden now have to pay for flood insurance. And flood insurance is roughly anywhere between $1,200 and $1,500 a year on top of what they were already paying. So there's a lot of people that are being outpriced and out where they just can't afford it anymore. And they're getting to the point where they're either going to end up in trouble, right, in foreclosure, or if they're smart, they're going to list their property, get rid of it now, and move somewhere else, because that's what's happening. That's why Orlando and those northern cities are getting more buyers and more movement, because the people in the south part of Florida it's just being completely outpriced, right? It's just they can't afford it. There's so many people that originally retired in South Florida that now can't even afford, even if their condos or homes are paid off, they can't afford on their fixed income to pay for taxes, insurance, and everything that's going on. So now they have to start considering moving to other states like Georgia, right? Because a lot of people from Florida are moving to Georgia because they have no choice, right? So there is opportunity. It's just, what are you doing to create those opportunities for yourself? And that's what we want to talk about a little bit today too. So the next question, if you want to go ahead, Carmen.
Yeah, what data sources do you rely on to anticipate market changes, and how often do you review them? And sometimes, we as agents, we go to trainings and we get, the information, and we try to connect with lenders, trying to look for the next client. But sometimes in a slow market like this, it's the perfect timing for you to train, to get on trainings and make sure that you understand the market and how the market works, because that's the way that you will be distinguished from just a regular agent that, probably are just waiting to get their next call, or those savvy agents that knows how to interpret the market and make sure that you are ready when those hard question comes from your clients, and how to redirect them. Maybe they will think that, all those objections that we normally get, no, this is not a good market, I'm just going to wait. You have to be ready and distinguish yourself and anticipate, those market changes. And what are the data sources that you use? Tell us a little bit about that.
Anyone want to share what data sources? Carol, you just mentioned that you were looking at some data. Where did you find that data?
Oh, RPR.
Okay. RPR in Florida is a great resource.
Here too, yes.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have it in Puerto Rico. I wish they did.
Oh.
But yes, RPR is amazing, an amazing resource for getting data. There's so much there. So if you guys are not doing at least a little training on RPR and how you can use that to benefit your business, you're missing out, because RPR gives you a lot of stats. It gives you a lot of help. It shares with you things that you didn't know that you can use now to market yourself as that expert agent, right? Because like Carmen says, we have to start educating ourselves to differentiate ourselves from everyone else. We all know people think that all realtors do is open doors. We all know that, right? So what are you doing different that makes you stand out from the ones that people think are just opening doors, right? You have to create value in your business. And that's why all these things are important, is, adjusting your strategies. Where are you getting your data? Get market updates, see what's going on, right? Because now it'll go into question number 3. How do you prepare your buyers or sellers to succeed when the market conditions are no longer in their favor? Right? If you don't start the first 2, you won't be able to prepare your buyers and sellers on phase 3 there. So that's why this is really important. Go ahead, Carmen, sorry.
No,
I get excited.
Yeah. So if you would like to discuss any other data source, I mean, you can also rely on MLS, because in the MLS you can get a lot of data, and even NAR. NAR is always, going after. Sorry that I'm getting calls. NAR also has a lot of data that you can use, and of course that's nationwide, and you have to adjust that to your area, but at least it's talking points. It will give you talking points that you can use with your sellers and buyers, and you can convert those to potential questions that you can use to start prospecting and making those calls. It's not always about, hey, do you want to sell? All right. Don't be that scripted in a way that people don't connect. Sometimes you have to use that information that you see on art in these platforms to create some content and questions that you can ask your potential clients. So how to prepare them for the shift. Jay Malis.
Yeah, no, and another thing that is good to be skilled at when you're speaking to clients is that we're basically entering the fall season, right? Which a lot of people think, oh, we're done. We didn't listen in spring, we didn't listen in summer, we're stuck. We're not going to be able to do anything. We have to wait until the next season. And it's up to us, right, to go into historical data with an MLS and basically analyze that specific season, because there's always opportunities, right? And you get to find what that looked like for a seller. And when you're having conversations with those possible sellers, you might shift their brains, because when they see math, they're like, oh, wait a minute, if
not what I thought.
Actually obtain this specific number that you're showing me based on the historical, I can sell right now. Like, I can put my house on the market and I don't have to wait until spring, right? Depends on whatever the sale wants to accomplish. So it's very important that you do not just think that the best markets are spring and summer. You be intentional and analyze where we are, what season and what opportunities we get to create. But the only way we can create opportunity, honest, is just show me the money, right? Show some math to those sellers. And MLS is fabulous about that, right? And again, if you have never done it, if you think you want to go a little more into how I go and find that data, let us know. We're here for you for that, right? We can put maybe a class to show you. So yeah, that's another.
Yeah, absolutely. Educate them with market data so they understand, how speed pricing or flexibility matters. They have to understand how the market is in their area, and showing those data, like Jay Malis said, it can convince them to act now rather than later. And that's precisely what you want. I mean, people that are looking to buy or to sell before the year ends are serious, that they are, it takes a lot of courage to do that in the middle of the fall or the winter, rather than waiting until the summer when there is more activity. It's because they have the motivation, or either they have to do it because of other reasons. Find that out, and help them make a decision. So that's amazing. Anyone would like to share anything else before we jump to the next question? You are quiet today.
I know, they're so quiet.
We don't want to share everything, we would like to hear you. We would like to hear you. And thank you, Carol and Nassim, sharing, that. But if you are here and would like to jump in and share something of what is working for you, please do it. Okay. So, okay. So what skills or tools are you focusing on right now to stay competitive if the market improves?
Correct.
What are the skills or tools you are focusing on right now to stay competitive if the market improves?
And while they think about that, one of the things that we all have to remember, going back to the strategies and that we should be, remember that our goal is to have a full pipeline, right? That's our goal. That's what we work for, to have a pipeline that's full, right? In case one deal falls apart, we have another 5 still in the pipeline. Okay. So I see a lot of agents who unfortunately get a listing, and then they just focus on that one listing, focus on that one listing, focus, on the sale of that one property, and are not prospecting in between, right?
Mhm.
They're not looking for more listings. They're not looking for more, and they're just so focused on, oh my God, I gotta sell this one, I gotta sell this one, I gotta sell this one, that they forget about building their pipeline. And we all know that listings, right? Obviously, yes, we're going to get buyers regardless, because if you have a listing, you have the opportunity to find buyers as well. But listing almost guarantees you a paycheck, where a buyer may not guarantee you that paycheck. So that's why it's so important to have a balance in your pipeline of both listings and buyers, because again, the market, we all know the market, like we're talking about, shifts. So as this market shifts, you need to have a little pipeline of both. If it goes into a buyer's market, you have buyers. If it goes into a seller's market, you have sellers, right? And you're not struggling through that shift. Okay. So keep that in mind.
And if you don't focus on getting new skills and tools, unfortunately, and you wait until to see what happens, you're gonna face the cost of waiting, because unfortunately, it's like what we say to our clients, don't wait, because it's gonna cost you later, maybe more than what you think. But it's also that applies to us as agents. If you don't prospect daily, if you don't do and you get organized and get those time management skills that we always are talking about, unfortunately, you are going to wait and see what happens, and you're going to see it later. 60 days from now, you're going to see that you don't have any closing. You're going to see that you don't have any under contract. And unfortunately, you are not building that pipeline like you were saying, and making sure that you are in constant movement, that you are moving towards getting your closings and achieving your goals, like the ones thought about at the beginning of the year. So if you're not in constant prospecting, unfortunately, you're missing out. And if you need some skills, if you have never worked with sellers, this is the time. Start determining what exactly do you need in order to get more sellers. What are the scripts? Where are those areas that are moving, and maybe there are a couple of listings that I can take advantage in market and farming in those areas that are already having listings in order to get more listings. And there are different trainings that you can get. Ask your peers, ask your broker, go in my agent account, and you can always find in trainings to get sharpen those skills and or get new skills. Anyone else would like to share anything? They are quite, I think that they are preparing, dinner or something like that. What do you think?
Yes. I'm sure they're multitasking. Except for Mr. Shaw. He sits there really patiently looking at what we're saying. So thank you so much, Ms.
Yeah. So, okay, last question, but these are questions just making sure that we, have an X-ray of our business, right? What are the things that we are doing now with the market, shifting the way it is shifting, and how do I get ready for that? So the last question that I wanted to share is, can you share an example of how you navigated a tough market before and still achieved results? I don't know how many of you have been, longer in the business, or have experienced, some market changes lately, even lately. The market now is not the same as last year.
Oh, no.
We
And
went
when you look
through,
at 2020, 2020, 2021, 20, that market was like a crazy market. We haven't seen anything like that, and who knows.
yeah.
But when you think about the 2008, when we had the crash, for those of you, the agents that were in the business back then, the only ones that are still in the business are the ones that learned how to pivot, right? They sought out those skills that they needed in order for them to survive that market, right? So that's why skills are so important to develop, because the skills is what's going to get you through any market. If you're, a lot of the agents back then, if they got into short sales, they survived the market. If they learned how to do foreclosures, they survived the market. If they learned how to do something other that was related to real estate, they were able to survive the market. So you need to be able to learn how to pivot and get the skills that you need in case something of that nature happens again, or again, what's happening now where there's a couple shifts happening, in the market where, again, before you used to list the property and back in 2021, and then used to sell in 2 days or 24 hours. Now it's taking 60 days, 120 days, sometimes 180 days, depending on where the market is. So it's creating those things that while you're waiting, while you're still prospecting and building your pipeline, you're developing skills to help you continue to grow. And that's where that time management, I think, that comes in too, because, if we don't have our time together, if we don't have our prospecting time, if we don't have the time to do the things that we need to do, our follow-ups, our prospecting, our farming, our market research, if we don't set time away, I think that one of the biggest mistakes that as agents we make is that, we come from a 9 to 5 where someone is telling us what to do, and you have to do this between this hour and this hour, and this between this hour and this hour, and you have to get all these things done before you clock out at 5. And when you leave that area, all of a sudden now you forget what that was. You forgot that there's still structure in order to run your business. And we just think, oh, okay, well, let me do the dishes, let me do the laundry, I gotta go to the grocery store, and forget that you're still a business, but you're still a business that's running for you, right? You're not running somebody else's business, you're running your own business. So you should be even more diligent on how you're structuring your day, and pretend that you're going to work. Pretend that you have a 9 to 5, and structure your day like you would your regular 9 to 5 job, because that's the only way that you guys are going to be able to get the things done in your time frame and your work hours. Because if you don't set that time, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And so I know that these are a lot of questions, but I wanted to also share, because, when Carmen sent me these questions, I'm like, okay, well, what are some things, right? I mean, obviously we need to think of some things. Okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do to develop these skills, right? And so again, we talked about doubling down on education, right? And having market knowledge, be the expert in the room, learn the local markets, right? We discussed that. Attend webinars, take certification courses, those are all things that you can be doing when you don't have any business. Okay. Niche down. That's another thing you can do. Become the expert in something. Niche down on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So if you know that, there's veterans. Veterans is a great niche, because veterans are always moving. They're always changing from one market to another market. They usually stay 3 or 4 years in one location, then they change to a different location in 3 or 4 years. So they're always buying and selling.
And there's the cheapest interest rate loan program right now, just so you guys know.
There you go. See, so again, veterans is a great niche to go after, right? First-time home buyers, downsizers, investors, luxury homes, probate, and divorce. We all know divorce is a popular thing these days. And probate, right? The people that are passing on, and unfortunately they didn't get their ducks in a row, and now they're, talk to attorneys, develop those relationships. Those are all things that you can be doing to increase your sales and increase your knowledge and be able to move, right? So in uncertain markets, specialists thrive where generalists survive. Okay? So if you're trying to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, I'll take whatever comes my way. Right? you're gonna have a hard time surviving. When you specialize in a certain niche, there's always gonna be sales in that niche. If you just hone down on that niche, okay? Veterans, down, people are always downsizing, always. People are always moving.
Yeah.
Right? They have a job change. Investors are always investing, right? Luxury homes, they're a little harder to sell, but if you become, you know, a luxury expert, you know, there's always sales in luxury. So again, niche down on your market, and I'll let you take over the next one.
Build or rebuild your pipeline now. Use slower periods to re-engage cold leads with cold leads. Implement or optimize a CRM for consistent follow-up. Do you still depend on you know, notes here and there, you know, and then you won't remember exactly where did you put that information or that phone number, or what exactly did you talk with that person 2 weeks ago? You have to depend on a CRM. You know, that's what it's built for. Just making sure that you are able to remember what you left it up, you know, in the last conversation. So leverage lead magnets, free home valuations, market guides, etc. So it's important to go over, and I'm pretty sure that if you go over your contacts here, you may have a lot of people that you have been, it's been a while that you have not been in touch with them. So just work with what you have. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to pay for leads right now if you can't, but work with what you have. Start building that habit of, you know, contacting people, you know, and ask requests, you know, for referrals, or reestablish those connections of with people that maybe you closed last year or the year before and you forgot about them and you have never contacted them before. Start to, you know, reconnect with them, because you never know where the next buyer or the next lead is coming from, and you have to, you know, feed that pipeline and that database. And if you don't have a system, this is a good time to get one of them. Okay.
Yeah, and you know, the systems that we have, Lofty, is $15 a month, guys. We spend more than that on having a donut and a coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. So $15 a month to run to automate your business, Okay. Like when I got my Lofty, all I did is transfer all my contacts, all my Google contacts to Lofty. I don't care if there was an agent. I don't care if it was a vendor. I don't care if it was my mama. I put everybody in there, okay?
And the phone.
And I send them all a welcome email. Hey, just I'm here, right? I'm here. And you know, if they're gonna opt out, they're gonna opt out regardless, and that's okay, right? But I want to let them know that I actually am now here in Puerto Rico, right? So again, just passing that information out and being in front of them is super important, super important. And the only way that you are able to do that, if you tell me you have, you know, 500, 600, 800, 2,000 people on your phone, right? Obviously, you're not going to sit there and call every single one of them one by one, because it's going to take you forever. But you can put them in your CRM and do one big email blast or one big text blast, right? Letting them know, hey, I'm still here. And that takes care of it. And then you put them on a follow-up, right? On a follow-up campaign of some sort. How many people, and I know that they're teaching this in that class. Noemi, you're still here? Are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Noemi, did you registered for that class, right? Was it today, the second part?
No.
I did.
It was this morning, yes.
It was this morning.
No, I
It was this
wasn't.
morning.
No, I wasn't.
You didn't register for it?
No.
I thought you told me you registered for that 100 days and 100K in 100 days.
No, I didn't know yet.
Okay. So remember that's I mean, they're out already. Today was less than
The
two.
second class, yeah.
The second plan, okay.
Yeah, so if you're gonna register, you register so you can get the first 2 recordings and then you can keep doing. But in that class, and Mali, since you were on it, and I believe Carmen, you were on it as well. What was, one of the things that they taught on the first class is
I'm sorry, Teresa. I never got the first one. I didn't make it to the 10 o'clock, but I haven't received any information regarding that since I signed up.
Okay, so send an email to Daniela.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I don't know if I have you on speaker. I can't hear you. Yes, hello?
Yes, you're gonna send it to Daniela, okay? Or Laverne.
Okay.
Okay?
All right,
Send
thank you.
it to Laverne at larosarealtycorp.com and let them know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
But one of the first things that they said in that first class was, get and start sending a CMA or a Zillow report or something to the people that already own a house.
Yeah.
Right. So again, there's so many ways that you guys can generate leads if you put the time into it, right? So I like this. Fortunes are built in the follow-up. Get organized now so you can capitalize later, right? This is how you build your pipeline so that you have constant business, right? You have to keep feeding the people that you already have and asking for referrals. That's another thing that agents don't do. You don't ask for referrals. When you close a deal, a good salesperson is always going to ask, can you share 2 or 3 names of people that I can speak to that might be wanting to move in the next 3 to 6 months? It's not that hard, guys. They love you. They're at the closing table. They love you. They're taking pictures with you. They're, all lovey-dovey. Perfect opportunity for you to get referrals. And we don't ask. We don't ask.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yay, Malis, you want to take on this one?
Growth tips, refine pricing conversations. In shifting markets, correct pricing is everything. Educate sellers with data, set expectations around longer days on the market or strategic price reductions. Tip to share, price the home for when the market is going, not where it was 3 months ago. And number 5, prioritize the seller and buyer education. Create market updated videos or email newsletters. Break down headlines, interest rate changes, and explain what it means for buyers and sellers. And another tip to share, an educated client is a committed client. Control the narrative or someone else will. Basically, people, either side of the aisle that you're serving, whether you're serving a buyer, you're serving a seller, you get to manage and control the data, meaning you get to understand where you are, because you cannot, like Texas and California, they're basically a buyer's market. Everything is basically a plateau. Nothing is really changing much all year around for these markets. Very specific neighborhoods, yes, maybe you can say they're sellers neighborhoods, but basically everything is the same, to the point that, agents in California from my office, they put offers and they're getting 60 grand, 80 grand deductions, right, from the listing price. And in addition to that, closing costs. So if you are not being an aggressive agent, and if you're not bold for your buyers, you're not doing a service, right? Because right now, my experience when I'm representing a buyer, when my agents are representing buyers, you get to just put the word out there, just write what you want. You will be surprised what the sellers are willing to do to move those properties, right? So be bold. My recommendation to everybody, if you're representing buyer, I don't care what the listing agent says. If you, of course, have those conversations and want to get a sense of what the sellers, right, and priorities are and the goals, but be bold in your offers, because if they don't have any offers, they present your offer and you have no idea what you can create for those buyers. So understand data, understand, comping for your buyers, and of course, understanding how are you going to be setting that seller and the expectation of that workflow for the listing, so the seller can understand that perhaps being 60, 90 days on the market, it's their new norm for a while. And we don't need to panic. We don't need to do price reductions. We don't need to do anything. We just need to sit it out, right? And wait for the right buyer. And that's what we get to do.
Yes, and I love that tip to share. Price the home for where the market is going, not where it was 3 months ago, right? So when we're doing comps, what do? We looked at the sales for the last 3 months. But are we looking at what is the market? If you look at the MLS, if the prices are dropping, right? The sales that happened 3 months ago are irrelevant, because now a lot of those prices are dropping. So look at what's active and look at what's pending, because if you see the price drops, that is like phenomenal tip, I think, because again, if you go based on the comps that were 3 months ago, and we know that the market is shifting, that prices are dropping in the MLS all the time, look and price the home where the market is going, not where it was 3 months ago. I thought that was a brilliant tip right there that I think that we really need to learn from. Okay. All right. So next we have get more strategic with marketing, right? So focus on quality over quantity. Professional photos, drone footage, video walkthroughs. Use targeted digital ads like social media, Google, YouTube. Emphasize listing visibility through SEO on listing descriptions and website content. And of course, your tip to share, your listings are your brand. Market them like you're selling $1 million product, because again, they are your brand. If you're building a brand of an exceptional agent, someone who is exceptional and different from the rest, why would you take pictures with your iPhone? Why would you post dark photos that nobody wants to even look at? Why would you, not do the proper marketing to stand out from other agents? If you're trying to accomplish, looking like $1 million agent, okay? Strengthen your sphere and referral network. Reconnect with your past clients, vendor partners, and sphere of influence. Ask for reviews, ask for referrals, and repeat business. Offer value with neighborhood updates or client appreciation events. And again, your next 5 deals are probably already in your phone. Start dialing. I mean, Mr. Shaw can testify to that, right? I told him, pick up your phone and start calling, and he's got 6 listings since he started calling. Okay, so it works. You probably have your next 5 deals right on your phone and you don't even know it. Okay, and especially when you're not calling, when you're not offering your services, when you're not asking for referrals, when you're not asking for reviews, which is important for your brand, right? So those are all tips of things that you can start doing so that you're prepared for any market shift. Okay, Carmen, you want to take these?
Yes, leverage video and personal branding. Build authority by posting weekly market insights, tours, and frequent asked questions on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. And use AI, if you need any information or on that, I mean, it can give you some scripts and some insight of what you can post. Let people see your personality and expertise. Be genuine, right, in doing that. Don't just sell, educate and connect. Tip to share. People don't just hire agents. They hire personalities. Show yours. That's wonderful. Number 9, master buyer objections handling. Learn to speak confidently about rate buy downs, creative financing, and long-term return on investment. Shift conversations from rates are high to here's how we make this work for you. Tip to share. A confident agent creates confident buyers, especially when everyone else is scared. I have a lender that says that the good question to ask the buyers these days, do you want to select your rate? Do you want to make your rate? And it's because there is always an opportunity to buy down the interest. And if you give them the chance, and they at least will ask you, and how I can make that happen? Can I select my rate? Yes, it depends on how much money we can ask for from the seller and use that money to buy down the interest. So there is always ways to make it work. So wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. There's always a way to make it work. All right. Number 10, collaborate and don't compete. And I love this one because, you have to create your partnerships, right? With your lenders, attorneys, like I said, attorneys that might be divorce attorneys, right? Inspectors, stagers, right? Or, so that you can offer a bundle of services. Again, you stand out. Remember that when you become a source of, or a source of resources, a source of resources, people will always call you, hey, Teresa, this is what I'm trying to do. Who do you recommend? That's when you become a resource to people, even if if you already close with them, follow up with the people you close on. I see agents who close on a deal and never follow up with that buyer or seller, ever. Like, I still keep in contact with all the people who I've sold the house for, right? Because I've taken down their birthdays, I've taken down information about them. I remember, I have in my CRM their anniversary. So now I can, send them a little happy anniversary. Follow up with the people, keep all that in your CRM. If you close on a transaction, put that information in the CRM, a little task list saying, hey, this person's anniversary is next week. Make sure you send them a little anniversary card or something, or call them to wish them a happy anniversary. Oh, this person's baby just turned 1. Make sure you address that. It's those little details that make a huge difference in your pipeline and continuing to have those relationships that are going to build your pipeline, right? And asking for those referrals because people remember, like, one of the things said, they remember your personality, they remember who you are, right? And that's what they leave with. And so and you have to, take that and use it to your advantage, okay? Co-market listings or events with other agents to expand the reach. Tip to share: in a tough market, collaboration isn't optional, it's leverage. Okay, so we're gonna leave you with that. Okay, does anybody have any questions regarding anything we just spoke on? Or anything they want to add? All right, can anybody put in the chat
I just want
if they got something out of this presentation?
I got something out of the presentation. I do have like a quick question as far as like contacting our spares and on our
Here.
phone
Mhm.
spears. Do you suggest that we do phone calls? I think you said that last time we spoke, or should I send like a general, text? Or should I just make that phone call? Because some of these people I haven't heard from them in like months. Some of them probably a year, couple years. So just don't know how I
I
should
would,
approach that.
if you have time to make the phone call, guys, make the phone call. Make
Okay.
the phone call because, it's easier to hear from someone when it's a voice, versus a text message. And I think especially if you haven't spoken to them in months or years, it's always so nice to hear from someone that you haven't heard from a long time. So I think a phone call is a great start. If they don't, because then from then you can ask permission. Hey, is it okay if I send you some information? Is it okay if I follow up with you in a couple months to see how everything's going? So then at that point you can follow up with a text, or you can follow up with an email or anything like that, because now you have them in an automation system where it will automatically do that for you, right? So
Okay.
I think that as real estate agents, remember that this is a relationship business. So
Yeah.
when you take that relationship by the horns, right? And you really make that phone call, I think it makes a huge difference. If you can get people's birthdays, right? I'm sure that, people, I mean, I put everybody's birthday in my calendar, okay? Because why do I do that? You know, not because I really, you know, want to spend every day calling people wishing them a happy birthday, but because for business purposes, if it's a client of mine or a past client of mine or someone that, you know, is a potential, you know, I want to be able to even just call them. Sometimes I'll just call and say, you know, sing them a happy birthday song over the phone. And they think, I mean, they just go crazy over that. Right? They're like, oh my God, Teresa, I can't believe you remember that. That is my birthday. Thank you so much for taking the time. Or sometimes I'll even just leave a voice birthday song, right? And they reply, thank you so much. Because those little details are the things that people remember about you. And those are the ones that are going to make a huge difference in your business, especially when it comes to follow-up. Okay? Anything else? Sharnika, I don't know if you still had a question. No? Okay. Anything else you want to add, Carmen and Yemalis?
No.
Nope, we're good. All right, so we're gonna
good.
leave food for thought. Markets change, but mindsets define results. In every shift, there are two types of agents: those who wait and those who adapt. One watches the market, the other wins it. Which one are you becoming? If you treat a slower market like a training ground instead of a downturn, you'll come out of it 10 steps ahead of those who just coasted. And growth isn't found in comfort. It's found in conversations, consistency, and courage. Keep showing up, keep sharpening your value, and the opportunities will follow. Okay? So I hope that was, you know, if you can give me a thumbs up in the chat, if this at least helped you with some things to kind of prepare yourself for this possible shifting market. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love it. I love the hearts. Thank you so much. But Guy, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I think we did perfect timing. We started about 6:08. We're ending at 7:08. So congratulations to all our leaders here who kept it rolling on time. And again, if you're watching this after the fact, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with someone else who you think might benefit from it. And we'll see you next week, same time, same place. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Take care.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.